And why don't you just remind the audience here of who you are and what you do?
Yeah, sure. I'm Daniel Skerritt. My particular area of research is on international fisheries, so that's why I study things like fisheries subsidies, as we're going to talk about today.
And then there's also like the policy aspect of everything and how to get countries on board to an agreement and to ratify these types of agreements that we're going to talk about today to put action into place. Because we can talk about it, we can do a lot of research on it, and we can identify the problems, but until governments start to enact these types of agreements and make sure that they put it in their own legal context, nothing is going to get done. And the more countries we get to ratify this agreement and agree to this agreement, then it's going to be amazing. So let's get started here. Why don't we just break down who the WTO is, why it's important that they come up with this agreement, and how this whole agreement came to be.
Yeah, I'll try and give kind of a brief history of that. So the
Go
WTO,
into a lot of detail. Like, we've got hours.
So I've been working on subsidies for almost 10 years, which in the world of fishery subsidies is I'm very much a newcomer to it. So I come from a kind of economics background, but not a trade expert. But the World Trade Organization was established, so it's based in Geneva in Switzerland, and it was essentially established to try and organize trade, global trade. So to try and usually to break down barriers to ensure more free trade. So any kind of barrier like tariffs and things like that, which obviously have been in the news a lot at the moment, they're kind of the governing body of that try and help facilitate easier trade around the world in order to reduce poverty, I guess, or to improve GDP in various countries, to connect the world. So if there's a trade dispute, that will go to the WTO. So that's their background. Fisheries subsidies for the WTO is quite an interesting topic because at the heart of it, although it's around trade, it's around unequal competition or the kind of the distortion of markets that fisheries subsidies can have. This agreement at its heart has sustainability, environmental sustainability. And so this is the first time the WTO have really brought together an agreement that kind of focuses on environmental sustainability. So, it's quite a new thing for them. I say new. They started these negotiations in 2001 at their fourth ever ministerial conference in Doha in Qatar. And they agreed the text of the agreement in 2022 in Geneva at their 12th ministerial conference. So 21 years of talking and negotiation to agree to the text of this first part, this Fish 1. And then another 3 years after that for countries to kind of take that text away, to ratify it into their own law, and for it to have come into force, just last week. So, please feel free to ask any more questions.
Well, I just wanted to, one thing that I'm always interested in as a scientist, as a marine biologist myself, and you have the very similar background. Obviously, you have a PhD. You've been studying fisheries for quite some time. I was always growing up in this industry. I was in this field. I was always of the matter of it's interesting how certain organizations like the WTO, like the World Trade Organization, even CITES, which is all about trade, have such a huge impact on what is traded and like fisheries traded and where the money goes, and as well like with CITES, like what items cannot be brought past a specific border and so forth. And I find it interesting when we discuss this type of work that fisheries itself, like when you look at doing the fisheries models and looking at, okay, we have fisheries models, we know what we can catch, we know how much we can't catch, we're setting the quota here. How come we need like the World Trade Organization or CITES to regulate this trade when, in my opinion, science should be enough?